So I made a little video about things to watch out for when you put the cart together, and I put a bunch of more inexpensive tools in this because it's just something to have to grab a tool that I need quick. You know, if I only need a wrench for a second, so I don't have to go all the way over to my other toolbox. But I decided to buy just a cheap set of sockets. So I had these sockets sitting in one of them old metal toolboxes. They were still brand new, weren't even open. I don't even know where they came from. They're called companions. No idea where they came from, but I've had them, so I decided to stick those in there. So there's my standard, and then I went out and bought a Pittsburgh metric shallow socket, just to have, you know, a couple different sockets in here. So these are 1/2 inch for the breaker bar. These are 3/8 for the little Craftsman. You know, this wrench is probably like 20-something years old, but still works. Anyways, so this is what I did to keep it in the original packaging instead of buying a rail for these, because it's, you know, I think the rail would actually cost more than the sockets did. So if you're not familiar with what it looks like, this is what it looks like. And these are like security knobs on here, so you can't just pull the socket right off. So it's kind of a pain to get them off at first. And I'll show you on here. What I did was I cut this straight down on that side, and then right here I cut that straight down. And then I used my multi-tool. There's a little lip here that I cut right underneath along that lip. And this is the multi-tool that I used. And now I'll show you on the bottom. Let me set the camera down here. On the bottom, I actually got it pretty flat. So you can see this is the little lip that these things sit on top of. So I cut right along the edge here. You kind of see on the bottom the marks. And then on the end, I cut the end off flush with the top of the rail. So I kind of left this little like nipple here so that these won't slide off. Same thing on the other side. And then I just took it to the bench grinder and just kind of grinded off all the rough spots from the saw. Same thing here. And then what I did to combat the security part of this, the security feature, because I mean they're still a little tough to get off, but not like they were before I did the other modification. So what I did was I took the multi-tool, and this, let's see if it's picking it up. Yeah, there's a whole, like a little slit on each side, and it was full of plastic. And you kind of see this one in the background too. So what I did was I took my multi-tool and I just went straight down here to the end. So that's exactly how far down it went. And instead of trying to shave off like the little plastic extra bit here, you know, so kind of gave it a little bit of spring. And now I don't have to fight quite as bad to get these sockets off of here. So that's what I did with this one. And it actually worked out pretty good. And then this other one, this one was, it was real long. So I ended up cutting it down. So you can see I left the nipple on this side. Cut that off on the bottom. But then what I did on this end here, I just used Gorilla Glue. And I just super glued this one to the end. So this won't come off of here. And this acts as the end now. Just like on this side with that little bit there that I left there. So this one also has a little bit different of a system on it to hold the sockets on. It's just a square hollow, and it's not quite as security-ish. So I mean, like I said, this is 20 years old, so this was before thievery was a big problem at these stores. So that's what I did. Instead of buying a rail for them, I just kind of turned the actual plastic container that they have on the shelf to sell them, and that's what I did. I just modified it a little bit to put these in there, And yeah, so you can see at the end. So that's what I did to each one. So watching me struggle getting these off, trust me, that's like nothing compared to the pain in the butt it was to get all of these off to begin with. So and it's still, you know, it slides, it's not great, but I mean, for what it came on, instead of spending the money on another rail, and like I said, it just lives in this box. It's not like they're nice sockets or anything, so I don't really care if these, I mean, I don't care, I don't want them to rust, but yeah, so that's what I did. And so if you buy these, you can go ahead and do the same modification I did just to keep them right on that rail, and that works.